Alright, we're back with another Metallica review. This time we're on to the Black Album. What's going on, ladies and gents in Cyberland? Coming back to you with another Metallica review. The Black Album, or just Metallica. So, as I said before, the first album I actually listened to was Reload, and then it ended up going to the Black Album. So the Black Album was an eye-opener for me because I was like, this is the same band. The everything sounded right, except this was more fast-paced than what came later with Reload. And then in hindsight, I listened to this album for a while, and it was cool. I wasn't like, oh, I really love this album, but I really don't like it. It was just kind of like, it's just an album to enjoy. There wasn't anything I really took from it that I was just like, oh, this is, it was just a couple tracks really got my attention, and then the rest of the album was just like, it's good, it felt, I know, I wasn't able to put my hindsight on what it was about it that was just like, I don't know, something didn't feel right. And it wasn't until I bought the first 4 albums that that's when it came to realization that after Injustice for All, the band decided to simplify a lot more of the tracks and not make them so sophisticated like they did with Injustice for All, which is fine, but unfortunately a lot of people were feeling some type of way about this album and the band when it came out. They were like, Metallica sold out, Metallica was trying to cater to the radio. They completely just jumped ship with their music. It's just, they gained a huge amount of fans, but there was a lot of backlash with this album because I guess people are feeling some type of way about why aren't you continuing thrash metal from the first 4 albums, and instead we got this heavy metal, and then the fact that it was by Bob Rock produced it, and Bob Rock produced like a lot of the hair metal bands, so people were already feeling some type of way about that too. I, for one, didn't have any issues with that. It was just one of those things where I felt, I take that back. When I first, maybe decades ago, or a decade ago, I felt some type of way. Maybe a decade and a half ago, I would feel some type of way about the album because I felt that it was simplified, it was simplistic, it was not as abrasive. The songs weren't as long. It just felt like, at the time, I felt like maybe some of these songs felt like they were unfinished, like they weren't fully completed. But as time has gone on, I realized they had to make this record because, it was leading up to where they had to do something different. They could not continue to do thrash metal the way they had done it. Otherwise, in my opinion, they probably would have burned out. So it was time to do some songs, not necessarily the lyrics, but just change it up to where they try some different things. And for the most part, it worked for a lot of the fans. It worked for a lot of people. It drew people into the band. This album brought in a whole new genre, a whole new collection of fans, which is, was fine. I mean, I wasn't part of that wave. The album did drop in 91, so I wasn't really into music or into anything with the band until by the time Reload dropped, which was around 97, 98. So to me, I had missed that whole wave of everything going on. But every time Metallica was dropping an album, though, I was picking it up, kind of thing. I never, there hasn't been an album by Metallica I don't own, And That's the best way to describe it. It's just a less sophisticated metal album. It's not bad. It's not songs like Master Puppets and Justice for All Ride the Lightning. It's songs where it still has the edginess of Metallica, and it still has them firing on cylinders. It's just the music is a lot. It's not a 7-8 minute song. It's more of like a 5 at the most, maybe 6. It's more of a 4 to 5 minute songs moving forward for a while. And there are songs where they are not as fast paced. They're more of like a bluesy type of metal rock thing. And for me, that's fine. It's just some people felt some type of way. My rating for the album, I give it a 9 out of 10. I felt the album was great. It's a good album. I just don't feel it is like Injustice or Ride the Lightning or Master of Puppets. I don't get the same vibes I get from those albums when I listen to this one. I still listen to it. I still enjoy it. I just feel those albums to me felt better, I guess you could say. I don't know. Top 5 tracks are Inner Sandman, Wherever I May Roam, Through the Never, Sad But True, and The Unforgiven. I think the songs that would I'd say shine the most for this album probably are Inner Sandman, The Unforgiven, and I would say Nothing Else Matters. Nothing Else Matters is not one of my top 5. It's not even one of my favorite songs, but the song is very special because it was the first time that the band had done something like that, and it was time for them to do something like that. Some people are like, I don't like that song. It's like they needed to do something like that. It's kind of like when I did the review for Slipknot's Adderall for the last time it just came out. They're at some point you have to do something that is different from everything you've done. It doesn't mean you just go full left and make a rap song or a techno track, but Metallica needed to do an acoustic song. It was time for them. They just need to not have an acoustic album, but have an acoustic song. And to me, I felt it worked, and it's perfect for the album. It's just not one of my favorites, but the lyrics are not the problem. It's just I prefer the heavier stuff. But I respect them, and I still feel that it was necessary to put this track out. So that was a good thing. As far as can you start with this, you can, but at the same time, it's kind of misleading because they didn't repeat this album, and everything before it is a huge contrast, and everything after it doesn't really totally fit with it either. I mean, there's songs in Load and Reload that kind of fit, but it's almost like the first 4 are in their own locker room, and Load and Reload's in its own locker room, and the Black Album was kind of alone. It's like you're not hard enough to hang with us first 4 albums, and you're too hard to hang with us 6 and 7 album. So it's like it's almost like it's kind of in its own little environment to an extent. It's just that's how it comes off to me, and that's okay. So I would say it's kind of like if you're gonna listen to this album, just understand that it's a middle ground kind of thing where they don't get harder moving forward for a while, and they're harder before this album. So it almost like it goes downward in regard to the heaviness moving forward for at least the next decade or so. And if you're fine with that, then this is a place to start. If not, it's better to listen to one of the first 4 before this, because it's just a huge contrast. It's like I can't even say any songs on Injustice for All kind of led to any songs on here. I don't feel it. I don't see it. Also, this is the last time for a while, a long time before we hear an instrumental. To Live Is to Die was the last instrumental they did up until Death Magnetic, and that's like what? This is 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, yeah, the 9th album. So I would say just keep those things in perspective. It's just the middle of the road type of thing, I feel, for what they've released up until this point. Because there isn't, it's just the way the music is after the Black Album is just, it's more blues rock. It's not even really metal. But nonetheless, it's still a good album. So, that being said, let's cue the music.
Never land.